Go ahead. The recording?
Yeah. We're hot.
This is a special edition of OTABs. We'll start with something good. Try and ease you guys into what's going on. Pretty sure everybody can see that photo there. Bear, you heard a little bit more, or you had a little bit more to say about this than I did, so please, by all means.
This happened last week during iWeek. As you might be able to tell, there is no stage in the stage closet. Does anybody know why Rhett's so excited in that picture?
There's a talking stick right in the middle of the table, too.
You might have to turn it on. I don't know if it's on or not.
The Rio skirt is on this skirt cart?
Yeah, there's a Rio skirt on the Bluebonnet skirt cart, but it's set for the camera riser length. So that's not irksome at all. Although, excellent observation. Any other guesses?
Anybody?
Why Rhett looks like a grinning jackass in this picture?
The card's in between, it actually in the lines.
I didn't hear that. It wasn't on the talking stick.
I don't even think it's on.
It was on.
It's on. Check. Oh well, I'm gonna speak into it anyways. The cart, the skirt cart, is actually in between the taped boundaries.
Really?
It is.
And Kane, how do you know that to be a fact?
Because I put it there.
That is fantastic. Using the parking places even when the entire closet, one of the biggest in the entire building, is free and empty. Kane put it into the parking space designated for that specific car.
Everything has a place.
Everything has a place and everything needs to be in its place. And that's why Rhett looks like a grinning jackass in this picture.
All right, Bear, you know the Sashi deal too. I know they came and talked to you, so go ahead.
Okay. Taylor, you need to get a chair out of Blanco. On Friday last week, we set up a bunch of crap in Palo Duro for multicultural affairs, and they didn't use it. You remember doing that, Omar? They wanted monitor speakers, but all our speakers were used for iWeek, and it was a big pain in the neck. So I called the director of multicultural affairs to ask her what the hell is going on with it. Why do we do all this extra work for crap that they didn't even use? And we talked about it, and it was the band, and it was this and that, and whatever stupid excuses she gave me. Otherwise, she started talking to me about Sunday in Bluebonnet. Does anybody remember what happened on Sunday in Bluebonnet, what event it was? Don't talk, Sashi. I know you were there. You know what it was. Anybody who set up Saturday night? Anybody came in on, what do you think it was, Simon? Talking stick.
Bluebonnet wasn't completed during the day, and there was still tech from iWeek.
Yeah, there's still tech from iWeek, which is annoying. The event was cake makers, like people who make their living by baking cakes for people, which seems like a really cool way to make a living. But anyhow, apparently they were, what? Yeah. Apparently they were super unorganized. They were driving the director from Multicultural Affairs up the wall, and Sashi was standing there listening to the conversations, and before she could turn around and ask him for help, he was already going to a closet or going to whatever to do whatever help needed to be done. And not only that, but the cake bakers were rude to him. They kept calling him the little tech boy, and he still did everything they needed him to do. So good on you, Sashi. Somebody was talking good about you in the office earlier this week. Good job, man.
All right. And last, certainly not least, I don't know the standard protocol of this, so again, you can take over, Bear. But
okay, so basically, we have these pictures downstairs in the office for Student Staff of the Month. There's a little write-up here that
nobody wrote.
Here, somebody give Brian the talking stick so he can read his write-up.
All right. Let's see. Brian Hasty began working for the University Center as an assistant event technician in the before time of the long, long ago. Throughout his continuing illustrious career as a University Center employee, he quickly scaled to the student corporate ladder, slaying the temptations of laziness and slack-offery, and became chief of his peoples, reporting only to the Thane of Utgard office, Wolf, after formally establishing himself as King Brain Hasty. You spelled it wrong.
On purpose.
Oh, all right. Thanks. Operations assistant of the HUC, his many talents, chief among them his brevity of positive vocabulary, namely okay and sure, and seemingly limitless availability, were optimally utilized in the rebuilding and changing of the guard. Many an hour was sacrificed, and longer still did his midnight oils often burn as he poured his efforts into his work. Such achievements have earned him the coveted title of Student Staff of the Month. Teal'c, Brain Butts Hasty, is a pretty cool guy. He gets Employee of the Month and doesn't afraid of anything. Thank you.
So this one will go on the wall, and this one actually says, since his employment began at UTA.
Also, I appreciate that.
Yeah. This one's a lot less fun than that one is. Yeah. So, anyhow.
That's the good. I can go on to the bad. What's this look like?
Open bed.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Open panels.
Where?
Blue Bonnet.
How many times or how often have we talked about this? What day was that?
Since 6 weeks.
And one of those is the 8th.
Hey, Cameron, this morning, did you come in and leave that one open? If you did, it's fine because you were running like a madman.
I've been trying to close them, actually. Sometimes I do.
Yeah, when you're running around like a mad person and it happens, all right? Well, we shouldn't be finding it repeatedly. Also, you'll notice, see how in this picture, the plate on top is white and the plate on bottom is yellow? But in this picture, they're both yellow. They actually fulfilled a work order. I'm sorry, I'm happy about that. But we're junking up the place by leaving the doors open.
6 weeks.
Benji, you can grab a chair out of Blanco. Okay.
2 weeks ago or a week ago. What this means is that whoever was working this morning with the cameras, because shit went wrong, and we'll be going over that as well. But the 8th, that's shit worked. Whoever was working that morning and the last technicians in Blue Bonnet will be doing break ins. It will not be fun.
Sorry.
You can't just leave shit open like this. I mean, if we've been talking about it for 6 weeks and it still happens, you're just not taking care of the business.
Guys, the problem with this stuff is, if y'all can't close covers on light switches, what else are y'all not doing?
It's really easy. I mean, literally the first thing I do when I get here is go into Blue Bonnet and check the panels. I get here, I grab my keys, I walk over to Blue Bonnet just to check. Almost every morning now. Actually, there was a week where nothing was wrong, and then I came on the 8th and like 2 of them were open. I was so proud until that moment. Gray bins. How do we store gray bins? Do they all go in Blue Bonnet?
Cameron, how many gray bins did you have to move this morning?
About 4 or 5. About 4 or 5. So I left. Should be 4 times 2. There should be 8 now behind Blue Bonnet. Stacks of 2 each, and then the rest I took up to Rio, behind Rio.
Was that the only thing you were doing this morning?
No.
So you had to squeeze that in amongst other things?
Yeah, I just did it towards the end.
Anybody care to take a jab at these? What's wrong with these pictures? We need a talking stick, please.
They look like shit.
Excellent job. Your reading comprehension skills are top notch. Please venture a little bit further.
The wires look like shit
Okay, but why?
because they're tangled, and that one is exposed and also not taped down properly.
Who set this up?
the time, I thought that the orange cable would be under the table, so it would need to be taped down. And that one just had a knot in it, I guess, that I didn't notice.
So whenever we're laying cable, we can run the length of the cables, like physically walk the cable to make sure that there are no knots hanging out. Yeah, might add an extra minute to your work.
Also, the over-under method of wrapping cables should keep knots out of it. Knots are not impervious to anything, but that should help as well.
I just want to mention something about Bluebonnet. Y'all may not know, but all the outlets on the walls are labeled different circuit numbers. So try not to put like 15, 20 tables on one circuit. Just kind of split them up, maybe 8 tables per circuit. I mean, they're only going to be using laptops, but you can look at the numbers on the outlets and then just try to split them up more.
Hey, Taylor knows how to do that. She did that when we were doing the iWeek load in. You're hot.
Thanks.
Do you want to comment on that, Taylor, at all?
I think the way it's split up is, I know over in one corner there's 3, and then in another there's 3. So I think it's sets of 3, if you would look. And I'm almost positive it's sets of 3. So.
All right. When we design setups like this for new guys who might not have had to deal with this, we try to do it so that where the runs of tables are with power, there is power available. So we're not asking you guys to put all the power in the middle of the room where there's no outlets. When they did the Connection Cafe expansion in 2005, the Bluebonnet served as our cafeteria during that project. So the south portion of Bluebonnet was where all the waffle makers were, and so there's a lot of power on the south wall. Then on the partition head between center and north, there's that big power drop for our power dolly, which could have been used as well. So you'll see a lot of power sort of centered around those two spots. So when you're running it, you want to make sure that you're diversifying the sources for the power, because God knows what people are going to be plugging in. I mean, for iWeek Food Fair once, they brought a Euro meat roaster. Y'all ever seen those things? These big vertical spigots that spin lamb. And oddly, that blew circuits with a frequency. But for these groups, they're probably not going to be using anything that big, so it's not that big a deal. But we always want to diversify our power sources as much as possible.
Was the table in this picture in the center of Bluebonnet at some point? Or like, it's not next to a wall or anything?
It's next to a partition.
Okay.
Yeah, it's right up on the partition between
All right.
center and
So
north.
just some ways to kind of avoid like these, like it is a good idea to have that excess cable somewhere in the middle, just so that it can move around if we need it to be. If you want to avoid like the excess being kicked around and just generally looking bad, typically when I'm running tables in the middle of a room, the taping is usually like in between the tables themselves, not like front or behind it. That way it has the most give front or back if the table has to be moved, as well as if you want to wrap up the excess in a bundle, over, under, and all that stuff, and then just put a tape over a part of it so that it just stays down so it doesn't get kicked all over the place. That's a way that you can make it look as good as possible.
How to put laptops back in SuperTech. Who knows how to put the laptops back in SuperTech?
Who hadn't talked yet?
And anybody with their hand up that hadn't talked, go ahead and grab a mic and tell me how that goes.
El Paso Chihuahuas down there.
You plug in the Ethernet cord to the laptop, you plug in the charger to the laptop, you plug in the laptop to power, and then you open it and unlock it so that it can update.
That's right. When I went in there today, there were 3 laptops just sitting there closed, didn't even have power cables connected. Don't know who did it, but that's okay. We'll solve that problem today. With this, checkout sheets. You may have noticed this plethora of clipboards sitting here on the table with various checkout sheets. My clipboard's got here. I've already made the checkout sheets. They are going to go up today. There's a specific checkout sheet for SuperTech. That's going to be for, you guys feel free to grab that, pass it around. I don't care. It's going to be anything expensive that really matters, and I have to know where it is. Every laptop, every projector, the Rolls mixers, the Z10, stuff like that.
Well, I went in looking for the Z10 mixer this morning because I thought I was going to have to run a sound system for Rosebud,
Yeah.
and it wasn't in SuperTech.
Right.
Odds are it was in here,
Yeah.
but it would be nice to know for sure.
Exactly. And those, like, them,
Because Cameron couldn't get the Rosebud sound system to work this morning, and while he was messing with it, I figured I would just go get the stuff to make, because we had such a time crunch, and it was he and I only at 7:45 this morning.
are there any questions about these checkout sheets? None? Okay, then when they go up today, I expect them to be filled out, and from now on, any tech, any person who takes any technical equipment out of any room needs to fill out a checkout sheet. If it's not one of the pieces on the specific sheet, you fill out a general. If you take a laptop and extra cables, you do both. Laptop on the specific, cables go on the general. Everybody got that? I want to know where all of my equipment is at all times. And when you bring it back, just reference it. Like this makes your job for a teardown so easy. You want to know what you need to tear down? Just look at the checkout sheets and what's out. No more digging through the various setup worksheets and trying to figure out, oh, well, did this already happen? Or what needs to come down? You'll be able to see very clearly what's out and when it went out and what it may be for. So,
There are certain times where one tech being moved to from a room to another room.
check
And
it
that-
in and check it out.
Again.
Yep.
The nice thing about that is you don't actually have to bring the equipment back to SuperTech to write it down. You can take the piece of paper and just write in and then immediately write back out again. You know what I mean? So that way, like, you don't actually have to physically bring.
Let's say you're moving a laptop from Red River to Pecos. You don't literally have to take the laptop into SuperTech. Just go into SuperTech, grab the paper, check it in, and then check it out on the next line.
Does that make sense?
Anybody else? Questions? Now is the time to ask them, because if shit isn't filled out right, I'm going to be really unhappy.
And guys, we're always happy to answer questions. We would rather answer 7 questions than get pissed off over something stupid. Right? Does that make sense?
I'm filling out a billing report regarding room setups. This is just a personal quick one. I noticed this week in the building reports there were several times like set up Rosebud, set up Rosebud, set up Rosebud, and they were all at different times for different events. So when you're setting them up, just kind of be brief, but what time you set up that room and what it was for, if you can. That way, if you set up Rosebud for an event in the morning and I have a problem with something that was set up in the afternoon, I'm not going to text you like, hey, did you do this? I know we can usually look at the schedule, but if it's in the building report, it's a lot easier.
For turnover, is it okay if we have everything that we set up over the night? And
Brian.
I said for turnover shifts, is it okay if we write everything that was done for that shift and the time frame that we were there?
Yeah.
Okay. Not as opposed to just doing it individually.
Right. No, you can lump it all together if you're just doing a massive turnover. But if you're setting up a specific room at a specific time for an event, I mean, just throw it in there. Recap of the video game shift. Who in here participated in that and was on the clock?
Apparently there's picture evidence.
There is.
Whoever took that looked
I know, right? Those of you that were, I'll need you to drop by my office at some point, either today or early next week, so that I can put you on for your 2 hours of Cravens or Golden Birds. It was also a success. I did not upload the picture because I didn't think to until just now, but apparently yesterday there were groups up there just using the television. So, plan successful. Worked.
We're all marketing interns.
Those of you that are still here next semester, we'll do it again. So, another 2 hours, I'll pay you to play video games. And just because for anybody that wanted to come up that didn't because they weren't on the schedule, you could have showed up at any time. That's just, I needed those shifts covered. But if you wanted to just come up and play video games for 2 hours, you are more than welcome to do so. For that shift, not any day. Next week is canceled. There's way too much crap going on next week and no depths.
We have a big ass offsite that's on Friday at lunchtime at the library mall. So like we'll have a crew come in to set it up early in the morning. Then we'll have technicians there during the daytime or during the shift time. And we'll have a crew come in the afternoon to tear it down and clean it up. But the cool thing is, for those of us who are going to be there, they are giving out free hamburgers to everybody who's there. So if you're working, there's a good shot you're going to get a free hamburger.
Okay, before we adjourn for various walkabouts and other things that we need to do, does anybody have any questions, comments, concerns, things that have happened, things that haven't happened, things that might be happening in the future? Just now is your chance to ask or talk about it. Who's graduating this year? This semester? Just Brian this semester?
And Humadi and Sashi.
May 15th is the final day that we can have you on schedule. Be aware. Yeah, be aware of that. Be prepared for that. If you're looking for work after that week, it's not because we don't like you. We literally can't. So.
And we found that out this week.
Yeah.
We in years past they've let us keep you guys until the start of the next long semester, but for whatever reason, not this year.
So now is a good time to start looking for employment outside of us.
Other announcement, we're going to have the end of the year banquet on Thursday, May 7th. Mandatory attendance.
What time Thursday?
5:30 to 7. If you can't make it, please email your supervisor. We will be giving away free dinner. Yeah, so you're going to be paid to eat dinner. Also, if you would like to come by and gawk a while, the full-time staff will be setting up the room that you will be dining in that evening. So
you can critique our table and chair setup skills.
yes, including our director and the summer camps team and the lady who books all the rooms. So y'all may all point and laugh if you would like to. Yeah, okay. The woman who books all the rooms.
Still not me.
Yeah. So keep that in mind, May 7th. I know some of you have class on Thursday evenings. So be communicative with your supervisor if you cannot make it, because mandatory required.
Like OTAX. It's
Yeah.
mandatory.
So anyhow, now I think we're done with this part of the meeting. Oh, Rhett has an announcement.
Oh, well, just since I just got here, you guys probably brought up all the stuff that didn't get done from the setup last night, but I would like to say that since they had to call an audible and Block Party was scheduled to put in Bluebonnet, and that kind of put an extra crunch on you guys, especially with the offsite, I was, with my guys and my crew, I was still pretty impressed you got it handled in that amount of time. You still got out at a pretty decent time. So here's to you. Is anybody working, who's working tonight or Saturday night? 2 words. Preview day. Yeah, that's why you have a monster crew, because I don't want you to have a terrible time. So
Actually, that reminds me about stuff that wasn't set up last night. My 3 night techs that didn't finish all the setups. In the building, like in your building report, that didn't go through, but in your building report, I went and looked it up on the iPad. It said that you completed the San Saba and Palo Pinto rooms. Do not fill out that building report for things you did not do. Because I was about to get upset at somebody for tearing it down. But you guys just never did.
So Humadi was fixing to eat a big shit sandwich, because he was the crew leader, the closing building supervisor last night, and it said it was set up. When we come in this morning, it's not set up. Make sense? All right, walkabout time.
Females didn't know.
Double tap record.